Hello everyone, my name is Mr. Powell and I'm one of the deputy head teachers here at Hayesfield School, and I'm in charge of teaching and learning and the curriculum, which means I'm in charge of what your child will learn and how he or she learns it, which is a very interesting and exciting role. And right now it's perhaps more interesting and arguably perhaps more exciting than ever. Tonight I'm going to talk to you about the remote learning procedures we have in place here during lockdown and how work will be said, which is not the most exciting title in the world, but it is a very important session and I hope you will find it all very useful. And we've learned so many lessons from the last period of lockdown, and actually I think we put most of the hard work in beforehand in terms 1 and 2. We've got our procedures in place. They're clear for parents and for staff and for students to follow, and we're all following the same procedures. And we've got a very motivated team. We all want to make this process work, and we all want to continue a very high quality of education for every single one of our students. And I think our students are prepared, and they themselves are motivated. They want to do well. We knew there would be some curriculum changes and we've put those in place, but again we were able to plan for those in some of the science subjects for the experiments and some of DT for some of the projects that they were running there, and the performance and art subjects as well. And again, we have got assessment right. We knew that we wanted to continue with assessment. We knew that that would be important to ensure that we were challenging the girls and the girls felt motivated to learn, and the boys of course as well. And we've become technology nerds, and we've become very imaginative and very excited about how we use those systems. And the video for parents, we've made so many videos for parents, being a really good example of that. And at the moment, what we're working on, and I think we learned this in our last lockdown, is making sure that our students feel confident and happy and motivated to engage in all of their lessons as well, because it's a little bit out of their comfort zone. And we set up those digital systems for all of them as well. And I think those digital systems are working very well. And I'll talk to you a little bit more about those in a moment. And as one teacher said to me right at the start of the year, you know what, Mr. Powell, we are ready to roll. And I think we very much are. And of course, we listen to our students. And that was a really important part of our learning from the last lockdown. We asked them what would improve the quality of their education during another period of lockdown, and they said, well, fewer systems in place, and they were absolutely right, and we agreed with that entirely. And I would like to think the procedures we have in place are simpler, clearer, and we are using fewer online models to make sure that they all know exactly where they need to go to collect work and to deliver work, and what to do when they're unsure. And that's what we'll be explaining tonight. Labelling work was very important, so they knew exactly what they had to do by what point, and homework as well, of course. And yes, students, I'm afraid you still have to do homework even during this period of remote learning. Setting the right amount of work is important as well. We found, and this was quite common, that some students with a 45-minute task were spending 15 minutes on it, others were spending 2 hours. And we noticed without that teacher interaction, without the you've got 10 minutes left, or without the bells going off, or the encouragement of a starter and a plenary and a very clearly structured lesson, that students were running on far too long with some work, or they were completing other work far too quickly. And as one of them said to me, Mr. Powell, you cannot over-explain the work enough. What do I have to do, and when do I have to do it by? And really, the most important message perhaps we heard from them is that they are all in very different circumstances and very different situations. Some will be completing work at one time, others might be completing at the weekend or during school time. And we understand that all of our students, no two experiences are the same. And we know that parents are at different stages and have different experiences as well. And I've spoken to quite a few of you, and thank you for the feedback. The positive feedback is absolutely amazing and has made us feel really proud of what we're doing. And the areas for development have been genuinely very useful and have allowed us to review and improve our systems. I know some of you will still have lots of questions, and that's completely understandable, and hopefully tonight's presentation will help you with a lot of those. Some of you might be pulling your hair out a little bit, and to be honest with you, I think we can understand that as well. Some of you might be feeling like super teacher parents at the moment, and I hope you are, but even if you are feeling that way, I'm sure there's information that we'll present tonight that you will genuinely find useful, not just in this video, but in all the videos we're offering as part of our Making the Most of Remote Learning. I'm an English teacher and I like to talk vocabulary, so I'm going to start with some key terms here. Remote learning. I'm going to use this again and again. Remote learning is pretty simple. It means learning at home. Blended learning. Slightly more complicated. It means learning at home at times or online learning, or learning within the lesson. And for a lot of our students who are in school, that's the partial in-school experience they're having, where they have teachers in front of them, but they also have blended learning because they're having remote learning through online live lessons. And talking of live lessons, no prizes for this one, I'm afraid. Live lessons are simply online lessons where your teacher is in front of you. And here we deliver all of our live lessons via Teams. Independent lessons are all set on SIMs, and I'm going to explain both of these processes again in a minute. Independent lessons or independent learning is work that's set for the student to get on with on their own. There are some key principles that I'd like to share with you right at the beginning as well. When we went into this, when we were deciding on the procedures for remote learning, our number one overview of all of this was student well-being. That the students were happy and that they were healthy and that the work we set in them was manageable. Challenge within it, absolutely, but there wasn't pressure or anxiety, unnecessary pressure or anxiety being placed on them. And we do deliver, of course, 5 hours of directed learning, which is a requirement for the DfE, and we're very proud to do that. I also think the quality that we're delivering is high quality of what we're delivering. And if you have any concerns with that, again, please let us know. And of course, we are continuing with our planned curriculum. And that's very important. I'm going to explain a little bit more about that at the end. It's really important that now, not knowing how long this period of remote education will go on for, we suspected it would go on beyond the half term, and we were proved right. It's really important that we maintain that curriculum, that broad, that ambitious curriculum for all of our students. And that is why assessments will continue, because we need to make sure that our curriculum provision is providing for these girls and for these boys, and that they are moving forward. But mostly, our key principle, as well as making sure the students are happy, they're safe, is that no single student is being left behind. And if you feel that your child, your son or your daughter is being left behind, then let us know. And that will be a refrain I will use again and again in this session. Let us know. Now, let's have a look at the procedures, and I'm going to talk in 3 stages. Firstly, it's going to be setting work, then I'm going to talk about completing work, and then I'm going to be talking about monitoring progress and what to do when work isn't completed. So I'm just going to take you on that little journey now. Setting work. Work will either be in one of 2 formats. It will either be as a live lesson, and we are hoping, expecting for about 50% of the lessons to be live, and in many cases with many subjects it is more than 50%. All of these will be set by Microsoft Teams, and these will appear on your son or your daughter's email account, so school email account, and that link will be emailed to them. If they go on their calendar on Teams, they can clearly see all their lessons for the week, and that is a really useful way to calendar their week and see which lessons they need to attend. Lessons will always take place in that timetabled slot, meaning that if you've got a Wednesday morning science lesson, that you know that your live lessons will be on Wednesday mornings. If it is a live lesson, I'll talk to you about independent lessons in a moment. Now, wherever possible, we do need students to attend. However, we do know that not all students can attend at that point. I've spoken to a number of parents over the last week or so, and I've reassured them that we know that your daughter or son might not have access to a laptop at that point because they might be sharing them. Well, that's fine. We record all the lessons, and it might be that evening or the next day is when they will watch that live lesson. But it is important they watch it because it is a lesson just like any other. So that recording is to enable non-attenders to access later on. But we know that not every single student is able to access at that point. We think the vast majority are, and certainly for my own lessons, they've proved to be very exciting and very interactive and very enjoyable experiences. Now, what's in a live lesson? Well, it can be a number of things, and not necessarily one live lesson is the same as another. Teacher explanation for the task ahead. So it might be that the lesson starts, the teacher explains the learning for that lesson, talks through the work, the tasks that are going to be done, and then we'll stay online in order to help students who perhaps don't understand or be able to answer questions as they work through the task that's been set. Often they'll come back at the end and they'll feedback on what they've done and they'll share outcomes. Sometimes it's feedback from the last lesson as well, and we're finding that incredibly useful. Feedback in the live lessons, because we give so much oral feedback here at school, it's a really good opportunity to actually talk to the students and to be able to give them the feedback individually or as a class. Sometimes they're fully taught, so for an hour your child's teacher will be in front of them and they will deliver the entirety of the lesson. That's a very common experience. And sometimes they're for teachers simply to answer online questions as well. And that's worked really well for us as a sort of a triage system for perhaps the students who aren't understanding so well. For me, I often use that system by saying, if anybody still doesn't understand, stay online. The rest of you, if you've got it, go and get on with it. If any of you aren't sure, please stay online and we can have another chat about what needs doing. And that has proved to be a really effective system. It could be any combination of these. The students said to us that they wanted more interaction, and this was a really good response to that. And for us as teachers, it's wonderful to see that engagement from the students, but it's also wonderful for us to have that engagement with them as well. We didn't get into teaching to deliver cold, dry lessons over bits of paper and send down the internet. We got into teaching because we generally wanted to engage our students. And this, live lessons, are allowing us to do that. Now, independent lessons. Well, not too surprisingly, independents are students working independently. Now, this work will always be set on Sims. So the live lessons will always be set on Teams, and your son or daughter will have the emailed link to that. And to be honest, they're very good at that. If they haven't got it by now, I'm not sure what's been happening. The Sims lessons are the independent lessons, and this is work where the teacher isn't necessarily always unlikely to be there. What we've said very clearly to the teachers is this work needs to be doable, it needs to be achievable in the time, and it needs to be very clearly set out exactly what they have to do. We often set this work not on a computer as well, in order to support the students being off computers, off sitting in front of screens. That's not always available, but we have said to our staff, wherever possible, look for opportunities to get them away from the screen as well. So independent lessons might be the format for doing that. When you go on Sims, and this is important, they're not set out by the lesson slots as they are on Teams. So we require a little bit of organisation, a little bit of resilience, and a little bit of common sense for our students on this one as well. We have said to the students, please clearly label which lesson the independent work is for. And on the whole, I think that's been working very well. But again, if there are any problems, please talk to the subject teacher, please talk to the Director of Achievement, or please feel free to talk to me as well. And at the end of this session, I'll be giving you a slide which sets out who you might want to talk to for different issues you have. Now, what might independent lessons entail? Well, it's all sorts of things, really. Again, we've made it very clear to the staff. It is about being independent. So the work needs to be clear, it needs to be achievable within the time, and we need to set out exactly when that work should be done and where it needs to be sent back. A lot of our staff are using online resources as well for that as well, such as MathsWatch, Seneca, or GCSE Pod, and I'm sure you're very familiar with most, if not all of these. MathsWatch, of course, is for our maths lessons, and your son or daughter will be very familiar with that. Seneca is being used across the school, but it's very commonly used in science, and a lot of work being set for Seneca on science. And GCSE Pod is very commonly used for the humanities subjects, particularly English as well. There are support videos for both MathsWatch and Seneca on these sessions in the YouTube account tonight as well, so please go and feel free to go and have a look at those. Now, that's how we set work. So in summary, work will be set if it's a live lesson on Teams, on Microsoft Teams, which will be calendared for the week, and your child will receive that by an email. If it's an independent lesson, he or she will get that through Sims, which won't necessarily set out which lesson that's for on the link, but when they go into that, they should be able to clearly see and set out their times and their work rota for the week. And again, as I said, that does require a little bit of organisation, but the students will be doing brilliantly in that. So for the next session, I thought I'd do it as a series of questions. Questions I'm commonly asked either by students or parents. And this is a common one. Sir, what do I do when I finish my work? Well, first of all, make sure you spend the right amount of time on it. Not too little, not too much, as we spoke about before. Remember, without teachers there, peering over your shoulder, checking that you're doing exactly the right amount at exactly the right time. Without the bells going off with starter activities, it's really important that your son or daughter is able to check that he or she is spending exactly the right amount of time of work that they need to. Again, it's really important that they check for errors as well. Silly mistakes. Is this the best quality work I can produce? And they need to be quite self-critical on that one. We're very good as teachers about giving them ongoing guidance and feedback as they go through. As they're completing a piece of work, we can check, we can tell them how to improve it. So they need to be sure that what they're sending to us has been checked very carefully for themselves. That's self-assessment, that the work they're handing to us has not got silly mistakes in it. Following teachers' instructions about where to send the work, and I'll be explaining a little bit more about that in a minute. And one of the things we had said, and I think this is a really useful strategy, is set yourself up on your computer, set yourself up on your laptop a file with all your subjects there and save all the work that you've got. That way, when you come back to school, you're going to have it all there and you're going to be able to show that to your teacher, you'll be able to print that off and you'll be able to put that in your revision files or put that in your workbooks. Here's another common question. How will teachers feed back to the work? Well, first of all, we're going to give clear completion dates, and those due dates are very clear on Sims, and in the live lessons they'll be set out as well. We're also going to make it very clear about which work will and won't be marked as well, because we're not necessarily going to mark every single piece of work that the students do, and we will be checking emails during work hours, and that means we'll be able to give feedback to students if they're unsure about a piece of work during the school day. And we have said that we will respond to student issues quickly as well, because we know that remotely those concerns can build up as well, and if they want to ask a question and they can't get hold of that teacher immediately, we know the frustration that can cause and the confusion that can cause as well. However, we are also very careful not to send too many unnecessary emails. We knew that in the period of last lockdown, there were some students receiving a lot of emails, and that's why it's important that we use the two systems for setting work, either the Teams Live lessons on Microsoft or work being set on Sims for the independent learning as well. And of course, we will continue to award house points and postcards as well, because we know what a great job the students are doing, and we really want to continue to celebrate that and recognise that as well. We know how hard they're working, and we know the quality of the work they're producing as well. Another commonly asked question, what will happen with work is incomplete or it's not in on time? And we are aware that there are issues as to why that might happen with access to laptops or access to live lessons at certain points. What we would say is, first of all, do try. We're aware there are different circumstances for different students, but we've got a model that we're calling the gentle nudge. If a piece of work isn't in by its due date, we will send an email to the student, and it's a standard email saying we have another 48 hours to complete. And that's recognising that different students are in different situations. If the work isn't completed by that point, we will then send an email back to the students and to the parents saying that this work hasn't been completed. Now, that's not a sanction, that's not a behavioural issue, that is just a warning to the parents, letting them know that this work hasn't been completed. And there might be reasons for that, and we need to know what those reasons are. So it's very important that you talk to directors of achievement, or you talk to teachers as well. Subject leaders and directors of achievements will be monitoring how many of those logs go in for incomplete work, and again, they can have those discussions with parents. This isn't about punishment, this isn't about sanctions, it's not about handing out detentions. It's making sure that all the information that we have is allowing us to make the right decisions so that we can support your child at home. Now, support's in place for your child is the most important part perhaps in all this. And again, I'm going to go back to that refrain, let us know. Our directors of achievement, our subject leaders, we are there for you. If there are any issues, whether it's IT, whether it's wellbeing, whether it's a pastoral issue, whether it's an academic issue, whether it's just simply they don't understand what work needs to be completed and by when, please let us know. Directors of achievement are a very important point of contact for you, particularly when it comes to managing issues of wellbeing. And again, could you contact them if there are any IT issues as well? We've issued an awful lot of laptops to students where there's been a genuine need for that one. I'm very pleased with how we've been able to do that, but it's very important that all of our students can access the online provision as well. So just because we're in remote learning, the support that we provide, we're Hayesfield, it's always there and will continue to be there. We're just at the end of the phone. Right, and what can you do to help? Well, absolutely, and parents have been wonderful, and I know how hard you're all working at home to be wonderful teachers, wonderful parents to support your child and your children during this period as well. So please monitor the work that's set. I think the vast majority of you have the Sims app, and you can see what work your child is being set. But it's really important that you talk that through with them, encourage them to meet the completion dates, and encourage them to be of a high quality. It's really important, as we've said, that the education continues even though your child isn't in school. And again, I'm going to go back to this. Let us know if there are any pastoral issues, if there are any IT issues, let us know, and we will be able to pick up on those. Right, staying on track. So we've set the work's been completed, and now we've just got to make sure we're monitoring progress and we're staying on track. And again, these are the kind of questions that I'm being asked, and it's not too surprising. It's quite frequently I'm saying my child is feeling anxious. He feels that they're not keeping up. What happens if she's falling behind? Are you monitoring my child's progress? What's going on? And I completely understand all of these questions. And I can assure you we thought long and hard about this. It's very important we understand that this is a three-way approach. It's about what we will do to support your child, it's about what your child will do to support your child, and it's about how you can support your child as well. If you read the Term 3 Procedures for Teaching, it's a riveting document. I wrote it myself. I thoroughly recommend it. It's available through our website, and it was sent out to all parents a couple of weeks ago through Miss Yates's letter. It does set out very clearly ways in which you can support and we can support to ensure progress is there. What we will do is we will continue to make work engaging. We will continue to set levels of challenge and differentiation. We will continue to track progress, and we will continue to communicate our concerns very early on. And again, as parents, you communicate your concerns to us. Students, however, we're asking a little bit more of them. This is taking some of them out of their comfort zone, and that's important. They do need to engage in the live lessons. If there is a discussion taking place, it's important that they do engage in that discussion. Now, whether it's through the chat or whether it's through putting their hands up and talking, they need to let teachers know if they're struggling. That's important as well, and they do need to prepare to try their best. As we've said, this period of lockdown has extended, and it may extend again, and it's really important that every single student is making the most of his or her education during this period. So the one thing that I would say is for the students, make sure they are engaging, they are active learners. Right, we do have some students in school, and again, how is my child being taught in school? Well, we're very excited to have them in here. We are teachers. We like talking to students. We don't like talking to computer screens, and they have become our little set within the school, and we've got to know them very well. And we are nurturing them. We are looking after them, and I think that's probably the most important message to all parents. The other message is that they're having an equivalent curriculum provision. They're having an equivalent teaching experience here. They will have the same live lessons as the students at home, and the independent work will be set exactly the same. We are, however, able to provide subject teachers for them for those independent lessons as well, and they are doing a brilliant job here. They really are. They turn up every day in their school uniforms, and they still, yes, have to wear school shoes, and we still, yes, tell them off when they're wearing trainers as well. Because they've become our little gang around the school, and we are very, very pleased to have them here. Okay, for SEN students, of course, this remains a core focus for us and will continue to do so, and we are very pleased that provision continues to be provided with the teaching assistant support within school and with the support within those live lessons as well. And again, our support and intervention strategies are taking place remotely as well. Again, if you have any concerns, please contact our SENCO, please contact our learning support team. She is very, very interested in hearing from you, and for her, again, it's very important that she has that information, that she can act on it. Right, so I'm going to draw this to a conclusion now. I thought the metaphor for a roadblock was quite useful. We have come to a block in the road, but it was a block that we knew was coming, and it was a block that we were prepared for. So we are very happy and very able to go around it. And again, I really like that idea of a diversion. We've been stopped, but we are diverting around the problem. It is not stopping us. And I think this is the phrase that we keep using. We're going to join back when the students come back into school, and we're very much looking forward to them coming back into school. They're going to pick up from where they should have been by that point, not from where they left off. Learning is continuing. Just because it's remote, just because it's happening at home, the live lessons, the independent lessons, learning is continuing, and this is an important part of their education. We know that when they come back, every single student is not going to be at the same place. They weren't at the same place in September, and we have provision in place for supporting that. But at the moment, we, yourselves, and the students need to do everything they can to ensure that that progression is still happening, that quality of education is still there as well. Right, I said I'd show you where the guides are. If you go to the COVID-19 section of our website, you'll find all the guides for everything that you need to understand about our teaching procedures. And if you go to the student guidance link there, we've got everything, and we continually update those. Tonight as well, if you look on the YouTube channel, again, under the Making the Most of Remote Learning, we have a whole range of video guides as well to support you. So, any outstanding questions, these are the people to talk. For myself, it's remote learning, blended learning, any discussions about the curriculum or assessment, pastoral leaders, directors of achievement for any wellbeing concerns or IT issues, and again, the tutor sessions that we're very, very proud to be running, and examinations, Mr. White and Miss Cording as well. Okay, so all of the staff that might be relevant for you to talk to are available there, and all of those contact links are through our website. Now, I started by saying we know parents are at different stages, and we are very aware that you are at different stages. As I said, you have some questions. Hopefully we've been able to answer some of your questions tonight. Hopefully not too many of you are still pulling your hair out, and hopefully most of you are beginning to start feeling like super parents, because you are super parents. You're doing a fantastic job of it. We know that very, very well. What I hope is that all of you are feeling a little bit prouder and a little bit more capable and a little bit more knowledgeable about the procedures. But please contact me, still contact the subject leaders if you've got any questions or concerns. And really, this is my message to you. And again, the same refrain: try your best. We know how hard all our students are working. We also know how hard our staff are working to provide that quality of education. And if there are problems, there are issues, let us know. We're just down the other end of the phone. Thanks for listening to me. I hope there was enough information there for you. Again, let me know if there's not, and I hope now you have a better understanding of the procedures that we are using to deliver teaching within this school. Stay safe, everyone, stay happy, and we look forward to seeing you all again on the other side. Take care.